Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great week and thank you for being here. Welcome to our first official live group coaching event. Today, we're going to be talking all about healthy Thanksgiving menus. My hope is that after watching this live training, whether you're here with me now or in the replay, that you have some ideas, some inspiration on how to enjoy your holidays with a little bit more vitality, energy, positive emotions, less stress, in a way that really serves you, your body, your mind, and your goals, right? It's supposed to be fun, and I want to help you to get there with just some helpful ideas, tips, and tricks. And today joining me, I have my lovely mascot. If you guys saw on Instagram, this is Turkey Tom. I found him. He's this cute little plush stuffed animal. A couple years ago, I got him, and he comes out just once a year to party, and he's going to be keeping me company today. And so as I was thinking about planning this for you guys, I wanted to just keep it really basic and simple. And what I figured is this first training, we would go over just kind of talking about menu ideas, recipe ideas, how you can kind of transform maybe some old classics into healthier options. And then I'll give you some ideas as what I would recommend when it comes to breaking down your dinner from appetizers to main dish, to side dishes, to drinks and cocktails. So I put together a little presentation for you, and I would love to hear your feedback if you would like to go deeper and you would like to see specific recipes. You obviously have the recipe vault, which has a whole library of recipes that I'm constantly adding to, and I will also be adding some specific holiday recipes. But in case there's something really specific that you would like to see, just let me know and I'll make sure that that is in there for you. And just give me one moment and I'm going to share my screen and share with you our presentation that we have here, just to kind of guide our conversation today. And let's see what we got. Takes just a minute. Okay, here we go. So let's do this. Okay, hopefully we are at the beginning here. We're gonna go backwards. Okay, here we go. So, how to have a healthy Thanksgiving, right? This is always the goal. First, I want to start off with you guys watching, and you can let me know in the comments. You can comment down below if you're watching this later in the replay. What is your favorite Thanksgiving tradition? I would love to know. Personally, Thanksgiving is one of it is my all-time favorite holiday. Over the years, that's changed. I think when I was younger, it was Christmas, always loved the presents. But now that I am older, I really have come to appreciate Thanksgiving a lot because of, honestly, the lack of having to buy gifts and the lack of the focus of like that material, and how it really is all about getting together with people that you love, showing that little extra bit of generosity, appreciation, gratitude, and sharing. And of course, it doesn't hurt that we get to enjoy delicious food while we do that, right? So my favorite part of it would probably be the exchange of dishes and sharing that, and kind of seeing the looks on those that you love when they really enjoy something that you've made and put your time and effort into and your heart into. So that would be my favorite. What about you guys? What we're going to be talking about here today, like I mentioned, is going to be how to embrace these holidays with a little bit more presence, really showing up for the moment, not getting lost in the stress and the hustle and bustle of it, how to approach the holidays with a little bit more adaptability, right? That's a huge one, is how can we be flexible? How can we move and flow with the randomness, with the changes, with the uncertainties that lie ahead, so that we can still have fun and we don't feel like we have to just throw our goals out the window. And then finally, how can we approach them with more vitality, with more strength, with more energy, with more alignment to our ultimate wellness and where we're going, right? How can we come out of it feeling amazing instead of feeling like we need to undo and reset, right? How can we just keep this rhythm and consistency that we've already built up? So some takeaways that I want you to keep in mind as I share some ideas with you, Turkey Day takeaways, would be, number one, keep it simple. And really just this applies to everything. Keep your menu simple, keep the approach that you have to your eating and, take some of that over analyzing and overthinking away by just keeping it simple, right? Trying not to build things up so much, I think really helps. Number 2 is prioritize your needs. No, it's not selfish. This is going to be your secret weapon if this is not already something that is top of mind when it comes to approaching the holidays. And in this case, most, what's going to happen first is Thanksgiving, right? So how can you go about your scheduling, your, choosing of the menu, how many items you're going to be preparing, where you're going to go, how much you're going to try to get done in one day? How can you prioritize your own needs, being exercise, nourishment and food, water, rest and recovery, mentally and physically? How can you prioritize that so that you really show up the way that you want to when it comes to your holiday celebrations? Then what I want you to think about is quality over quantity. So this again applies in many different ways, but if you can really just up the quality of your energy, the quality of your ingredients, the quality of your process as to planning, proactively putting together your menu, your scheduling when it comes to the day of or the days leading up to Thanksgiving, you're going to feel so much more abundant and full and complete. And you're going to notice that you don't need maybe as much food, or you don't need as many options or plates as you think. So think about quality as opposed to quantity. And then finally, I want you to really try to be as creative and courageous as possible. Take action in these two spaces. The more creative and open your mind is, the more you're going to find interesting alternatives and fun ways to recreate your dishes and the cravings and tastes that you really want this season in a healthier way. And then take courageous action, meaning maybe it's going to be a little bit different than previous traditions. Maybe your menu this year is going to look a little different, and it's okay that there's change. Change is awesome. Change is what gets us to the next level. And so that requires a little bit of courage. And I know that you guys have that in you. So first, let's kind of go over what a traditional Thanksgiving menu is. I had to Google this because I kind of forgot. And this goes for, this is kind of for the traditional American Thanksgiving dinner. This could also be very similar to what people eat for, maybe Christmas or some other the holidays during this time. So we usually have some kind of like roll with butter. We have turkey, gravy, stuffing or dressing, whatever you call it, mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, some kind of drink or a cocktail, and then of course a dessert, which is typically pumpkin pie. That's very Thanksgiving. So I want you to just think about, what does this look like? What do we have here? What do you notice, right? Just off the top of my head, what I see is not a whole lot of protein. Obviously the turkey is usually huge, but think about how this ends up working out when it comes to like plating your plate. You got a little turkey, and then you have like all of these other very dense, starchy, often, rich with dairy and sugar and a lot of other added ingredient sides. It's not a bad thing, but I think it's just good to take an objective view as like, what are we really eating here? What is kind of the tradition? And then how do we make tweaks to make it fit a little bit more into what we would naturally be kind of aiming for on a day-to-day, right? Yes, it's a holiday. Yes, it's special. There's reason to indulge, to have fun, and to go the extra mile. But at the same time, it's about balance and moderation here. So how do we kind of just synthesize this into something that we know is really going to work for us? So jumping right into it, when I think of that first one with the rolls in the butter, let's think of maybe some other ideas that are going to kind of satisfy the same craving, right? Maybe you're having guests over, you're just getting to someone's house, you want a little something to snack on, but rolls and butter are going to kind of fill you up really fast. They're going to spike your blood sugar, and they're going to just kind of like fill you up and oftentimes inflame you, right? Because of the gluten from the bread and then the heaviness of just the butter. We don't get a whole lot of nutrients. So to change that, here are some other alternatives that I've personally tried that are wonderful. They work really great. They're crowd pleasing, and I think you would really enjoy them. One idea is spiced nuts. So real simple. You could just get some raw, unseasoned nuts, a variety, whatever you guys like. You could do like pecans, macadamia nuts. You could do peanuts, really any combination. Saute them in a little bit of some healthy fat, which could be ghee, it could be coconut oil, it could be like a grass-fed butter even would be an excellent option. Could even do avocado oil, something more neutral flavored. Kind of get them coated in that and then go to town with some delicious spices. Think warm spices that kind of go with the holiday flavors. You could do turmeric, cinnamon, a little bit of cayenne. You get so many antioxidants, superfood antioxidant benefits from those. You could go a little bit of a sweeter route, and you could do maybe a little bit of even coconut sugar with cardamom and some of those same warmer spices, paprika. It really is kind of an open canvas when it comes to this, but I do really like those warm spices. And then you just kind of toss them together, and then you can store them in an airtight container for later, or if they're ready to serve, you can serve them warm in just a little serving bowl. Really delicious. What I like about the nuts is that obviously they're high quality fats. So they're going to satisfy you, but they're not going to overly fill you up. And then, of course, you know, you're getting that longer term satisfaction with that. So it doesn't spoil your appetite to the point of where your blood sugar has risen and you're kind of just getting overly stuffed, right? Like if you're loading up on carbs or something like that. Another idea is some crunchy vegetables with hummus. So this is easy, right? Because you could make the hummus in advance. If you're able to find a store-bought hummus with minimal ingredients, without any hydrogenated oils, go for that. Save yourself some time. And then just put out some vegetables like your favorites, maybe some cucumber. I really love the English cucumber without the seeds. Carrots are delicious. The rainbow carrots give you a variety of flavors because of the different colors. You could do celery, you could do cherry tomatoes, and who couldn't use more vegetables during the holidays, right? So I don't think anyone is going to regret that. And the hummus gives you a little bit of protein from those chickpeas. So it's just a really nice, light beginning to a meal without spoiling the appetite. And then finally, another option is the charcuterie board, kind of along the same lines of those two, but you get a little bit more of a variety and it's a little bit more fun to serve. Create a big board, maybe get some uncured meats, some cold cuts like salami, sopressata. You could do even like hams, different things like that. You could get some grain-free, gluten-free crackers that you really love. You could even do like small baby rice cakes. Put that beautifully with some fruit, maybe some olives, something tangy and briny, pickles. And then if you wanted to do some cheese, you could maybe find some raw cheeses that are unpasteurized that tend to sit a little bit better in the stomach, like Manchego, Parmesan, and you have an amazing board. So those are some of my favorites. All right, then obviously the main entree, you could certainly do something that's not turkey, but I know that's gonna be the most traditional. I've seen people that do duck, they do chicken, you could even do like a cut of beef. But for things turkey, and really, I mean, any protein that you end up going with, focus on the quality, right? So the turkey is typically gonna be on the healthier side anyways, choosing the avocado oils when you're roasting, or maybe a grass-fed butter or a ghee. Look at your seasonings, right? See what types of other ingredients are there. Try to keep it basic. So what I always look for is whenever it's like a seasoning blend, you want to try to stay away from the ones that have a lot of anti-caking preservative agents in there. Just buy the ground seasoning as it is. Add your own salt, right? So you're not adding in all this extra salt. A lot of times these seasoning blends tend to use iodized salt as opposed to kosher salt. So you're better off just controlling that on your own and then going from there. And when you're purchasing the turkey, try to get one that is free range, antibiotic free, and organic. Remember that the quality of the animal that you're eating, meaning its diet and its living environment, is going to be a reflection of the level of nutrition that you're going to get on the other end. So it does, you know, it makes a lot of sense to spend that extra energy and effort to try to find a really quality bird. And that's pretty simple. Side dishes. All right, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So we noticed that there was a lot of like starchy, heavy, dense sides, right? And that's fine, you know, if you want to have a few of those. But what I want to bring to your attention here is that we don't need to have all of them, right? This is your Thanksgiving. This is your experience. And how do you want to feel at the end of it, right? If we know that we have like 10 piles of starchy, high carbohydrate sides, right? And we have all these other things going on like the turkey, and we want to have a drink and we want to have some dessert. Let's balance it out. And how do we do that? Let's get some more veggies in and try to get some more nutrients in. So here are some ideas. If you want to do mashed potatoes, there's so many ways to lighten it up by just simply making it dairy free. I've given some ideas and I do have some recipes on this, but essentially some of the dairy components that you would add, like butter, sour cream, and milk, can all be substituted with nut-based milks or coconut milk. You can do a dairy-free, cashew-based sour cream. There's a brand called Forager that makes one that is excellent, tastes exactly like the real sour cream. And then, like I mentioned, as an alternative to just standard butter, is try to find a grass-fed butter or ghee. It works beautifully and the flavor is there when you want that buttery texture. You could also try coconut oil, but I think for mashed potatoes, go with the ghee for sure. And then you would treat it the same way. Another idea for an alternative side, there's supposed to be a little break there, but sprouted bread stuffing. So you could still do your traditional stuffing, which is made out of bread, right? But what if you upgraded the quality of the bread that you used? Instead of a, highly processed gluten baguette or, just sliced bread, could you upgrade that to maybe a really quality sprouted bread? I know that we found a bunch of really amazing brands. I've noted this in your Vitality Approved Brands document, if you guys want to check on that in the bread section. And it's really seedy, it's really delicious. It's made with all sprouted ingredients. And that's going to make a world of a difference. If you're someone that's more sensitive to gluten, or maybe you just want to add more activated nutrition and nutrients into your side dish, this is a great way to do that, because bread is the main component. So again, we're upping the quality. It's going to feel so much better, digest so much easier, and you're going to feel amazing. Something else that I would recommend is, as opposed to doing maybe a sweet potato casserole, which tends to have a lot of added sugar because of the marshmallows, right? Sweet potatoes are already sweet. So why not try to just bake your sweet potatoes or prepare them however you like, and then just mash it up and treat it as if you were doing a mashed potato. That is incredibly flavorful. If you wanted to make it a little bit creamier, I would recommend adding maybe some dairy-free yogurt, your favorite yogurt, mix that in, and then add in maybe some cinnamon, some nutmeg, whatever spices you want. And then voila, you have a really delicious and super simple side dish. So those are a couple alternatives to maybe the typical. The next thing you might want to think about is a gravy. So gravy, again, is pretty basic. You're using the drippings from your turkey, and then typically you add in a little bit more fat, maybe some kind of like a vinegar or like an acid to cut it, and then you add some flour to thicken it. So one thing I wanted to show you that I came across that I was very excited about is the beauty of where our food brands are going these days. While we feel like there's so many things that are not good for us, there is still hope. This is by Primal Kitchen, and they're now making, as of this year, I believe, non-dairy gravies. And what I love about this is that they put bone broth in it. So you could totally do this on your own as well. Like when you're putting together, saving the drippings, pour your bone broth in, maybe do a gluten-free flour or a tapioca flour for a gluten-free alternative. Or you could just keep it super simple and buy yourself one. And this one is made with mushrooms, a ton of fresh herbs. They put some potato flour, okay, nutritional yeast. So the best part is, and they made with cashew butter. So that's what kind of makes it creamy. I have not tried this. I will give you guys a review, but another really great option, because think about how it all adds up, right? You're adding gravy onto everything. So if you can just up the quality of your gravy as well, you're going to be in great shape. Few other options. So for other ideas in terms of like mashes to kind of lighten things up, use your cauliflower, right? So cauliflower is such a great veggie. We might think it's like boring, but that's actually quite the opposite. It's really just a blank canvas for so many different types of recipes. You could mash it up and kind of make it into a mashed potato, season it the same way, add some creaminess with the dairy-free options I mentioned. You could also make it into a rice by just pulsing it, or you can already buy riced cauliflower and make it into like a rice side dish. I know a lot of our families here in Miami, maybe we do like a rice and beans type of thing. That could be something fun to switch up if that's part of your menu. It got a little cut off here, guys. Sorry about that. Don't underestimate veggies, right? I feel like we forget veggies. If we go back to the traditional menu, there's not a whole lot of vegetables on there. Everything is kind of like swimming in a casserole, right? So take it real simple. Get your favorite vegetables that are in season. Maybe it's Brussels sprouts, parsnips, carrots. Maybe you're into some bell peppers. Saute them, or you can put them in the oven at a high heat with a little bit of avocado oil, salt, pepper. Let it do its thing, caramelize, and that is so delicious. And it's such a wonderful way to kind of offset some of the heaviness that these meals can be. Load up on those veggies, and that's also going to naturally help you to portion control because you're going to be getting what your body needs as opposed to just a lot of heavy carbs. I really like doing green bean casserole, and I'll show you another product that I'm going to be using for mine. So typically the green bean casserole, you use the mushroom soup, and that's going to have some dairy in it. And I like to make my own. I'm going to do a little recipe on that because I have to try it out a few more times. But I use some cashews and nut milks to create the creaminess instead. And then, of course, a lot of fresh mushrooms, organic green beans. And then they do sell now these organic gluten-free crispy onions. You got to have those, right? And the ingredients aren't bad. There's some palm oil, which is kind of like not the worst, but a little bit is fine. And then just has organic buckwheat, which is gluten-free, and onions and salt. So that's another way that you can kind of redo that same recipe, making it gluten-free. Stay tuned for the recipe if you guys want that. And then cranberry sauce, that's a big one, right? Cranberry sauce is actually very easy to make. Think about how much added sugar the ones that are in the cans or the pre-made ones are. All you need to do is take a saucepan, take a bunch of fresh or frozen cranberries, and then cook it down until they start to pop. And then you can make it sugar-free by just simply changing the sweetener that you're using. So I would recommend monk fruit or stevia. You could also, with a light hand, go in there with a little bit of honey or coconut nectar. And then you can add in some spices or even add some chopped jalapeno if you want to make it a little bit spicy and go that route. All right. And then last but not least, we have drinks and dessert. So with drinks, of course, where does it tend to go wrong? Well, there tends to be a lot of added sugar, right? If we're doing like mixed drinks and we put in like Coke and different types of sodas and things like that, simple syrups. So how to avoid that? I like to take a different route and just use the most natural flavoring as possible. So some of my favorite ways of navigating that would be using kombucha, which does have some sugar, but it's fermented. So the sugar is actually used to create the probiotic element, which makes it healthy, right? So they come in all different types of amazing flavors. I think I saw one that was like a cider apple delicious flavor. And I can just imagine that would taste delicious in a cocktail with maybe some tequila or vodka and maybe a little bit of sparkling water. Super simple. You could also have fun with just sparkling waters like Spindrifts that come in so many different flavors now, or even teas, brewing your own tea for a little bit of extra flavor, and then adding that into your hard liquor, and then just keeping the sugar really light in that way. I love also using just freshly squeezed juice from fruit, like a lot of citrus. Grapefruit is awesome. You could even puree a little bit from apples, or I've even put in like a little bit of pumpkin puree, and you'd be surprised how much that really kind of sweetens up and mellows out a drink. So you can try some of those out. There is also some some like things that you can purchase in the store that are already dairy free, and you just have to kind of check the ingredients, of course, depending on the brand. But they make a lot of like almond milk nogs. If you're someone that does like the eggnog, you can do some spicy alternative creamy drinks like that. And those can also serve as a dessert too. So that might be something to think about, like if you need both or if you want to have options for one or the other. And desserts, there are so many options. Of course, you can do different types of gluten-free cakes. And if you're into like that type of like a coffee cake or something like that, I really love to do a dairy-free cheesecake with blended up cashews. And this is frozen. So in Miami, because it's still kind of warm, it's really refreshing to have. But that's just another way of doing like a pie, like a pumpkin pie. You could go dairy-free by just using dairy-free types of products, or using cashews or nuts, blending it, and it creates that creaminess for you. Another idea, which is great for also keeping the portions in moderation as much as possible, is making little truffles. So this is super easy. All you would need is some protein powder and some nuts as well, some type of fat, like either a nut butter or coconut oil. And then you simply grab your food processor, pulse everything together, flavor it however you like. I personally like kind of like the chocolatey vibe. And then you create this like cookie dough, no bake, no cook. You form it into these little balls, and then you can leave them as that. You could roll them in coconut to make them a little bit more festive, or you can go the extra step and melt some dark chocolate, roll them in there, and then pop them in the freezer so that they're like these full-blown truffles. Amazing. And then think about how that would feel different than a huge piece of a super sugary pie or a bunch of ice cream. So you can kind of go about it that way and see what you feel like would work best for you and your guests. So that is all I have for you guys. I wanted to wish you a happy holidays, and I'm so excited for you guys to try some of these ideas. I would love to hear what stood out for you and what you feel like you are gonna be excited to try for this Thanksgiving. Like I mentioned, if anything that I mentioned here stood out and you would like to see more of a detailed recipe, just let me know. I'm going to be kind of sprinkling them into the group as well, just so that you kind of keep it top of mind and you can look out for some of these ingredients when you're at the store. But again, the ones that I mentioned today was just the gravy, which was new, and then these gluten-free crispy onions for the green bean casserole. So until then, thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you guys here, same place, same time, next Wednesday at 2 p.m. And be on the lookout for our topic in the group. And until then, have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, guys.